Not that many news stories here. Let's start with the biggest ones. We got this PS5 coming down hot. Holiday 2020. Are you ready? Is everybody ready for this?
Yes, I'm ready to wait exactly a year and a month for that thing to come out.
Not a long time, but I feel like it's not that surprising. We kind of had this Cerny getting out there talking about solid-state drives and what that's going to mean for the future of the PlayStation. The official name, PlayStation 5. These are the things we know. PlayStation 5, Holiday 2020. And this is all coming from a Wired article that was published on October 8th, coming directly from Sony Interactive Entertainment's CEO, Jim Ryan. So this is official word.
They held the controller, they saw it in action, they saw the debug thing.
Which they said looked a lot like that kit that was going around. I think Gizmodo first reported on it like a week ago.
That weird,
the cable modem from the mid-aughts.
I don't understand that.
With the debug unit?
Yeah, like
why it looks like that?
Why make it look
I
like
said
that?
it looked like Darth Vader's chamber from like a Death Star. It's
Yeah.
on Windows. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a reference.
What do we know here? PS5. We got AMD's. Jeff, hook me up here if I get these wrong. Ryzen, is that how you say it? The CPU.
I mean, is that what you care about?
Oh, well, okay.
I'm just saying, like, is that the thing that's gonna like really drive this story for you?
Okay, PS5.
Wow, because let's really get into it.
I like the rumbly controller stuff. That sounds fun.
like that's what I'm talking about. Like, there's things that like
I was kind of starting off with.
He was building to something.
Go ahead.
Snob, tech snob.
Wow.
Yeah, boy.
Pinball snob.
Yeah.
Pinball snob.
So why don't you fill me in? Why should people be excited about the Ryzen line, Jeff?
No, I don't think
No, tell
people
me.
should necessarily care about the GPU.
Wow, hates AMD.
I mean, it's got that.
He hates the graphics.
It's got that.
I hate, you know what?
Fucking
I hate
shit.
graphics.
It traces those rays.
A Navi GPU. What does that mean, Jeff?
I don't know.
Okay, great.
This is going well.
What are we doing here?
It's got a solid state drive in it.
Yeah.
And it will be doing hardware ray tracing.
Yes.
Right.
That's an important point.
It'll be using optical discs, 100 gigabyte. I don't know if they're proprietary, but it will have a 4K Blu-ray player in it. Does that interest you at all? Is that okay?
because
Am I still allowed to keep
Pro,
talking?
believe it or not, like can't do 4K.
Wow, that's
Blu-rays.
interesting. Yeah, so I thought that was an interesting.
Yeah, so
bullet
I'm
point
not
to
talking
put
about the
on here,
GPU.
too.
I'm talking about the fact that it can't play 4K Blu-rays in its current, which is kind of ridiculous.
And apparently
It
they're
is.
going to allow for breaking up the game data in terms of installation or deleting. So,
which they kind of do now.
Yeah, I want
Well-
to say Call of Duty did that once, where you could like do the multiplayer or the single
This
player.
seems much more
uninstalled.
streamlined.
So
though.
games have done it where it's like, especially on PC, the Call of Duties have been like, okay, this is a different like download on
Executable.
Steam for single player and multiplayer and stuff like that. What it sounds like here is that you will be able to like install just parts of it or take out just parts of it from like one core thing on the UI.
Yeah.
So it's like after you beat the single player campaign, you can just delete the campaign,
It's
free up some
still
space,
play
and you still got
multiplayer.
the same. It's all just like one launcher button on the UI.
And imagine that will go from publisher to publisher, game to game.
Of
Like
course,
what stuff is available and what is modular and what isn't.
Yeah, but some smart stuff too with the UI where it's like, let's say you hover over the Call of Duty icon and you just want to see like, oh, what multiplayer matches are joinable with my friends or something without having to like launch into the thing.
Yes.
So yeah, it sounds like it's doing some cool stuff.
They
there.
also stated that with single player stuff, maybe being able to see what missions you have left to do or collectibles you have without launching into the game, just kind of giving you details from the UI, more UI game integration. They said something in the Wired article, which I'll wait and see how that's implemented, about just from that experience of seeing what servers are available or what missions you have, basically taking you from the UI into that thing directly, and we'll see how that gets implemented.
Instead of having to like
it has to get. It's got to be better than what it is now. It's just not fun now.
So I hope that installation process is a lot better, because right now that sucks.
It's not great.
The download and then copying whole thing
and
takes
then the
forever.
update sometimes.
I think the PlayStation 4 sort of UI right now is just, for me, it just hangs so much.
Does it?
now. I like
when
maybe
you're
I need to
in-game?
like clear of cache or something like that.
You might, because mine doesn't really do that. I mean, granted, I'm still using a regular PS4. I'm not using a Pro. I don't know if there's any sort of like back end stuff on the Pro that might be different.
I don't know
but
what's up, but during the beta time with Modern Warfare, it was
It's a bummer.
it was terrible.
I will sometimes in game have problems accessing friends' menus.
Just like,
and
you know, and God forbid you accidentally hit that PlayStation button, and I'm in like a 30-second animation of like waiting for this.
the
thing to-
okay,
screen
that's
share.
too long.
Or
That
like-
shouldn't
yeah,
be doing
it
that.
seems wrong. Maybe I need to clear a cache thing or something like that.
Do you have the stock hard drive?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I did the switch out thing, and like I don't know how hard drives work, but some apparently go faster than others, and I put in like a fancy one.
If you want to know how hard drives work, read that article because there's been like 2 paragraphs describing how hard drives work.
About how the needle had to go and like, find a piece of data and duplicate it and all that stuff.
It's like that's good information for someone who maybe doesn't necessarily pay attention to this kind of stuff and doesn't know why a different kind of hard drive would make a difference in a console. But like I was just reading that, I was like, this is really detailed on how solid state drives work.
I thought it was interesting.
I thought it was.
Oh, you thought that was interesting?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't tell Mark Cerny to shut the fuck up and just move on to the controller?
No.
Weird backlog. You should write him a letter.
Because that's a practical thing that I can wrap my head around. What can you do with the name of the GPU?
I was asking you. That's
What
why
can
I
you
thought
do?
you worked for the company that does tech stuff.
Why are you fighting?
I'm not
We're
fighting.
not
Tell me.
fighting.
Tell me.
This is not us
It's
fighting.
because he's haunted.
It's not us fighting.
Tell me.
It's the ghost that's making him do this.
Tell me about the controller.
So they got their hands on a prototype that the new controller gets rid of the rumble motors and uses haptic feedback instead.
Which is basically more refined.
I feel like it's similar to what your phone does.
Yeah.
Or like what they call like HD rumble.
Maybe.
They said something
I
called
want to say
voice coils, which
I wonder if the Switch things have rumbles in them. I wonder if they have motors in them.
how does
Can we
haptic
take one
feedback
apart real
work?
quick?
Yeah,
Right now, let's do it.
So it seems like it would allow for a more precisely programmed and tuned vibration experience.
Like they're talking about like the differences in surfaces that you are running up against or driving on.
Describing like, I could tell what it's like to be thrown into a pool.
Yeah, or it's
what?
like
or
a car
slippery ice or something.
a
like
car
that.
crashing into a wall versus getting tackled in Madden or
Yeah.
something would be.
So,
different.
I mean,
through
hey,
sand.
I'm down
Yeah.
for some progress in that department. It's kind of been the same one-trick pony for a while.
I'll tell you what Cranky Vinny says.
Okay.
He
Why
said-
is my controller gonna shake?
No, he says, man, every controller gimmick that Sony has had except for just pushing the giant trackpad to get the map on every game,
Yeah.
Yes.
has always felt like it's cool for 3 games.
Very clearly not their intent
No,
for that
I
thing,
know.
but that's
Yeah.
how it went.
But it has felt cool for 3 games, and then
Yeah, I
people
mean, I'm
forget
with
it.
you. Like, I hate the speaker on it. I think that's not fun.
Remember with the PS3, they're just like nobody wants Rumble.
Oh, the access,
And now they're like, well, they want more Rumble.
the motion on the access
Six
stuff.
axis,
That
Yeah.
doesn't really become a thing.
Yeah, the light, which I guess maybe works.
It works
Or
for like
PSVR.
PSVR
Yeah,
stuff.
I think the light
Yeah.
is sort of, I don't know, a frictionless kind of thing. It's just like, whatever.
It doesn't get in the
All
way of
right,
anything.
You use it as a crock pot.
Sure.
That was a weird feature. That was only good
Yeah.
for like 4 games.
I liked it, but I was like one of.
There's
So, and then they talk about the triggers, these adaptive
Adaptive.
triggers.
Yeah. That's
that
adaptive
could
resistance?
Yeah, that could simulate tension.
Yeah.
Which seems to me that's interesting. Like to have, this sort of pushback on
Yeah,
it.
definitely.
Where it's like, I want to pull this harder than it's letting
Yeah.
me. That might be fun. Or it might be annoying. I don't know.
Or it
but
might be another point of failure for a $90
Yeah,
controller
exactly.
where
Or
it's
let's
like,
have-
the
let's
left
have-
trigger on everybody's thing just keeps breaking.
let's have another moving joint on
Yeah.
this that Vinny's going to have to open up inside.
Yeah,
of
oh
for you.
man, here is anybody having problems with their left trigger? Yeah, it's a known thing.
Yeah, it's known. They're haunted.
So we'll see. I makes me wonder what battery life's going to be like on this thing because battery life already is not great
Yeah.
on that
They said
controller.
clearly they said better. And they said
Yeah.
it's a little heavier than the PS or the.
Said it's a little heavier than the
DS4.
DualShock 4, but lighter than the Xbox One with, I guess,
With
AA
batteries.
batteries. in
Yeah.
it, which is fine.
Whatever,
Okay,
who
great.
cares?
As long as I'm not holding a brick, I don't care.
What
Like,
do we think about the way they're rolling this info out? Like both times we have gotten like real significant details on this thing. It has been through like articles and
it's-
Wired.
It's them not being at E3. It's them
Yeah.
just being like, hey, we're going
But, like,
to sell these anyway. It don't
They
matter.
have these state of play things that they're doing, and
Yeah.
granted, those have mostly been game focused. I don't think they've really done like a hardware focused one up to this point because there really hasn't been hardware for them to focus on. But like, if you're doing this stuff and you're trying to drive people to like say your channels and trying to get people, more interested in the system that you're obviously their big blitz is coming next year.
Yeah.
But like, not that I have any issue with like the Wired articles, like they're very detailed and they give you the information you want. It's a strange way to roll this info out. It's an unusual way.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad one. It's just unusual.
I think it's just different. I for one, I mean, selfishly, I kind of dig it that it's not this like circus. You
Yeah.
know? I think that's fine. I mean, I would prefer maybe the drip drip sort of faucet that they're doing now as opposed to like a blowout event that like usually 9 times out of 10 leaves you asking more questions.
Okay, so with the PS4, I feel like they tried this on the circus, right? With Mark Cerny getting up there and trying to explain why the PS4 on stage,
they did
right?
That whole New York event. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
So you remember that, right? And I feel like this time around, it's almost like they're back channeling this information for the people that Jeff made fun of when we were talking about CPUs, you know, all the really,
I don't know if I made fun of that.
really just tore into those people who care about CPU stuff.
I don't know if
like that's what they're doing here, right? Hey, do you care? Do you care about how the hard drive works? Here's Mark Cerny going to kind of rap for a bit because like you can't get on stage and do that anymore. When they get on stage, they're going to show 7 games. They're going to show how this connects to this and that, and all this UI jumping into stuff and like granular loading of games is all kind of almost it's early access console reveal information, right? It's for the most dedicated people to kind of get the buzz churning. Don't forget, Microsoft did this on stage with Project Scorpio, talking about their next gen thing, right?
Well, you're talking about Scarlet, or you're talking about Scarlet is the new one, yeah.
Right, with Scarlet. So they've already announced that they're doing this, and Sony is kind of getting in there and being like, hey, don't forget about us. We got this thing coming. Now they have a date, which is huge. They have us talking about it.
Right.
But they don't have to kind of... they don't have to do an underwhelming stage event that doesn't have games yet.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily that I think they have to do a stage event by any stretch. It's just that, you know, when they're talking about like, hey, here are these demos that were made by the studio in Japan, you know, like here's like it's cool, it's good information. I think that the article lays out a lot of you know, useful stuff. But is it worth maybe trying to follow up and get those demos, like those kinds of things, into people's hands, like even on a small scale press side thing, as opposed to like, I'm not necessarily saying they have to get up there and do their giant fake E3 presentation in front of everyone.
It's interesting,
but is there some value to showing those demos,
on a
to
broader
having
scale.
and maybe even just like getting some kind of eyeballs on like what they're trying to do
Well,
here?
they're controlling that, right?
Yeah.
They're giving Wired this exclusive thing, and you know that's a bit of more control than I think we would like for this kind of thing.
Definitely, and they're
I mean,
letting...
selfishly, yes, I do want to check it out.
Yeah,
but
like
even
I want them. I would love to have had some sort of demo like this guy.
But they're also letting Peter Rubin from Wired explain it to the audience, right?
Right.
It's kind of old school.
Yeah, it's very old school.
Yeah, like we'll let the people you trust tell the audience. It's almost like old school meets new school. And
Right.
I wouldn't call him an influencer, but it's basically, hey, I'll translate this for you guys. Here's what here's what Mark really means when he talks about hard drives.
I just want to hear Mark Cerny talk.
I know.
I just like listening to Mark Cerny
I think
talk.
we'll get one of
selfishly.
those. I think we'll get that.
You do?
I do
On stage?
I don't know. Don't forget he did the. Didn't he? Was he there for the Pro too?
He was out there talking about pro stuff
Right
as well.
when he came to New York to the
Yes, he was there for
PlayStation
that.
venue.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
He was there. For
I mean,
that.
at the rate things are going, Mark Cerny will be the only one left at Sony, so who knows? Maybe he'll be running
yeah,
it.
I guess.
Him and Jim Ryan, just like, but like just manufacturing those things themselves.
Will you stop talking about SSDs for a goddamn minute? We're syncing here, Mark. Well, like it goes a little faster.
I think like it's cool.
Marble madness.
I but at the same time, like as much as I think this, I agree with you guys. I do think it's a little strange and off the beaten path. I like it.
I like it too.
And I like reading, how they're getting a message across about like maybe it's a little bit of damage control where it's like, better graphics, that whole kind of thing. But like, I think people don't really truly appreciate what, Flash media can do in terms of like accessibility and loading and stuff like that. And I think maybe this helps convey that message a little bit better.
It's minutia.
It is. It's in the weeds, but I do think it is tangible things that you will notice right away.
Yeah.
Like that will separate a PS4 from a 5.
And I think it's for the more hardcore readers, right? It's for
the people who are invested in every detail of this thing.
Yeah, it's like, you have a decent point with like who really does care about the CPU, GPU, and that stuff, right?
Right, but at the same time,
people
I do. Right, but I also care more about like what am I going to see in terms of an actual. That's right,
difference. And I think that's what they're holding off on.
Well, no, but I think they do convey it with the SSD. Like I think that stuff that they talked about and like logistical, data sets and like
sure, but until they're ready, like kind of like we were saying with Alex, until they're ready to show how that works on a stage, I feel like this is not a bad approach to keep it in text.
Yeah.
Because Mark Cerny up there talking about how it's going to work is like,
and also
be a snoozer.
there is stuff here, but there really isn't a lot of stuff here. So.
The controller stuff is neat.
There isn't a lot of stuff that you can convey to an audience without putting their hands on it.
Right.
Like it's not stuff that like, and as much as I say is unusual, I don't think it's a bad approach if you just don't have that stuff to put in front of people yet.
Right. Especially even I guess they could show the games without showing the console, but I would think they want to show everything at once. Sounds like the controller looks very similar to a DS4, but maybe had it was described as having an extra hole or something in it.
Somebody's saying, like, is that a microphone?
So there was a patent filed for new PSVR stuff. Sony files patents all the time. Nintendo files patents. Everybody files patents all the time. But the reason maybe is relevant is that in the patent there was room for a camera in the controller, along with cameras on the PSVR itself.
There was also a rumor of some kind of AI assistant, like Siri type thing that PlayStation
into the controller,
and possibly. But again, they wouldn't confirm any of that stuff, and who knows if that's actually the direction they're going in or not.
Also, in that patent, kind of mentions that it could work maybe wirelessly with Bluetooth.
Yes,
the VR.
Yeah. I mean, Bluetooth is a bear of a. I don't like Bluetooth.
It's a bear of a bear.
Bear of a bear. We'll see if any of that. They have in the past, I believe, said that all previous PlayStation VR stuff will work moving forward. So shouldn't be locked out.